Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second Black and White podcast. Apparently, we had 75 viewers last time, which was 72 more than I thought we would, so we are back to make a second one. We've got some of the same crew as last time, as well as a couple new people and a guest. The people from last time are me, Dylan Nelson.
Hey, Kyle.
I'm Natalie.
Hi, I'm Ian.
Eric Sundquist.
And then the new people we have this time around is Brooks and Trevor. Brooks and Trevor, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Brooks. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I'm double majoring in linguistics and anthropology.
And I'm Trevor. I'm 23. I'm from, Whidbey Island. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Eric, and I'm not actually majoring in anything right now because I'm not in school right now. So, yeah. Last thing I was in is geology, though.
This week we have our first guest, which will hopefully be a thing. It sounds like so official that we have a guest on our shit this week. Our guest is Jake from Stars. Jake, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, as I said, I'm Jake, 21 from Bellingham. I have some beautiful blue eyes, and I'm a theater major.
So today's episode podcast. What do we call this? A podcast, an episode. Today's episode is going to be about team dynamics, more specific team stuff than we talked about last time, because last time was super ADD, and we're trying to focus it down this time. So we're going to start out with some stories about various shenanigans and butt-clenching moments we've been in involving squads, and then we'll go over some team tips, and if that doesn't amount to an hour, which I'm sure it will, we'll talk about some other stuff that's Western related. Kyle, I know you had a story that you wanted to start out with.
Yeah, sure. It was one of the first mini games, one of the more recent mini games actually, where Corey was in charge, and he had the the Nemesis that you would radio in to tell them to attack the other human teams. So it was the first time that we did that, and we ended up getting a lot of time right out the gate, and then we had to split up and actually take over the Terminator Circle. We had to take over the Terminator Circle. Dylan tasked me with grabbing a few people and going down there to go take care of that, and I ended up grabbing Jake, who is with us right now, and a couple Black and White members, and then Mike DeVos decided to tag along, like, hey guys, I want to help too. And so and so we went and swung around. For those of you who know campus, we went inside Arnson, out the back of Arnson, down below ES and Parks and Bio, and around the outside of Smate to the Blood Altar, and had a lot of fun down there, killing the blues, punching them in the nuts.
I guess something that should be said to kind of help Kyle's story make a little bit more sense is in the Western Washington mini games, most of the time usually it's not only HVZ, but HVHVZ, or in this case it was HVHVHVZ. So it's usually red and blue team, red team for life. It's usually red versus blue team, but this year it was red versus blue versus pink team, and as always, the Black and White members were red team.
Tradition.
Yeah, I was on blue team at the time because that was back when I was on Stars and not on Black and White. And I was on blue team, and I was the broken part of blue team that was trying to fight back against this red team force that was just so like on top of their shit. And I was just, it was a struggle, but y'all did really good.
Who am I to talk about that as a Zed who, I would say that as in my time as a zombie, I've seen a lot of good team dynamics that have actually kept me and other Zeds from making tags. And one of the ones that I see being the strongest is being circumspect and having somebody on point and having somebody on tail. And, if this could be any kind of moral. But I got a double tag as well this last game because there were just two guys just walking around, not watching their back. And I ran out around the corner from Fraser, around between Fraser and Old Main and Humanities and Old Main, down that little ramp. And I ran like 60 or 75 feet to tag these two guys in the back. And it ended up being a one in the chamber, and I got them both. But if I can get that close to get a contested tag, that's not good team dynamics. If one of your whole sides is exposed like that, that's not adequate communication. I would reason.
I remember that whole mission that we were talking about was kind of weird because Pink Team right early on got just hit hard, and probably that exact thing that you were talking about. And everyone for the rest of the mission was just, all the Pink Team is dead. But the whole rest of that mission, every 5 minutes, there'd be 2 Pink Team people that just come out of nowhere.
They got shattered more than they got destroyed.
That kind of leads to a point that kind of leads into a story I wanted to tell, that it was sort of the same thing. Is the lesson is, even if you get hit hard, have to break, you're not out of the fight. Because I remember one of the missions, it was a minigame mission, definitely, because it was red versus blue team. And I remember it was just one of those missions that blue team just shattered red team. We just got hit because red team was trying to go up a really steep path up to a dorm room at Western called the Ridge, and we just got hit from both sides by zombies and blue team. And it got to a point where we just wanted to make sure that even if we could win the mission, we were going to make sure that the other team, the blue team, didn't win either. So I remember very clearly, basically just looking to all the black and white members and just going, fucking scatter. Take to the woods, fight as gorillas. Ook, which, of course turned into gorillas. But we made sure that blue team didn't win, because I think I was with Nick, Lemma, and somebody else, and we went and hid in Castle. And I think that was one of the greatest stealth missions I ever did with any of the members of Black and White, because Zombie Fodder walked through the castle and didn't see us. We saw that blue team was basically tracking down and hunting each of the individual groups of red team that had split off, and we decided to make it a stealth mission to just make sure that blue team didn't win.
Were you actually inside of the castle when they were walking around you?
We posted up in the very center circle of the castle. For those who don't go to Western, the castle is a outside art piece that is basically, it looks like a little brick. From the outside, it looks like a little brick circle, like a Stonehenge type thing.
It's like 2 concentric rings, if bird's eye view.
So we were inside the center ring with our objective. And we had spotted a team called Zombie Fodder coming for us. They were blue team. And we, instead of opening fire with, the Vulcan that Steve is in love with, we basically just squirreled around the center of the circle, and they walked through Castle and didn't see us. And I think it was because of us and maybe 1 or 2 other groups that blue team didn't win that mission. I mean, that brings up a good point, that one of the reasons we, as black and white members, see ourselves as better than the other Western teams is, out of all of the teams at Western, we have the best communication, hands down. We're still getting better all the time and working on radio etiquette, cutting each other off and stuff, but we are definitely able to communicate positions, activities, even so much as what's going on in a very chaotic firefight, effectively and quickly to each other.
And on that, I think not only effective, but something that, how do I explain this? The communication that you can communicate in ways that people outside your team might not understand. For example, me and Kyle watching the laser tag footage, I think it was 1 syllable per word was what was going on between me and him.
Yeah,
maybe 2
much.
words per sentence, and
everything was repeated twice.
Everything was repeated twice, and it was working because we've done that before, and we have a communication system. And I think when shit is hitting the fan in communications is actually a good segue to Natalie's story. I think was going to talk about building clear, where that's absolutely essential.
Yeah. So my story is mainly about building clear. As everybody is probably aware if you listened last week, I more recently joined Black and White, and my first event really running with Black and White was Build and Clear. And during Build and Clear, I feel like that next to some of our mini LARP tactics that I helped out with, or not helped out with, but like participated in, was like the most efficient I've ever felt playing in like an HVZ environment. And technically at Western, Build and Clear isn't a HVZ event technically. It's kind of a standalone thing, but I mean, it's still like humans stunning zombies and running through a map kind of thing. And I mean, we just, like, I was astonished with how the members of Black and White who had already been on the team for a long time were like communicating so efficiently together, and me. And like, I mean, obviously there's some knowledge prerequisites that I needed in for like this means this or whatever, but it was just, it came almost naturally, like, because it's just so like smooth how Black and White runs through and eliminates targets. and I don't really have any like specific examples, but basically at the end when we were like having kind of a debrief, basically people were praising each other for being like, yo, Rear, you did incredible. Like, I never had to worry about turning around if I heard a zombie behind because I knew Rear had it. And then, like, Rear was complimenting Point, and, like, even the people in the middle, like, everybody was on their A game, and it was crazy, and we wrecked shit. Even though everybody and their mother during our run was just like, oh, I will because I need to get a tag on the Black and White, like, you know, and that's always, it's kind of a side of being on the team, but, like, it was still, like, crazy awesome, and I had so much fun feeling like a working part of an efficient, like, system.
What's funny is I don't want to call your perspective an outsider perspective because you're obviously on the team, but that was, as you said, that was one of the first things that you had done with us in close quarters shit with our communication. What I thought was funny is that as someone who's been through that with this group of people a number of times, is that it's never ever clean. Nothing is ever as good as it could be. Nothing is ever as precise. People get confused. People don't understand what other people are saying. Nothing we ever do is a perfect run. However, we've gotten so good at adapting and overcoming the bullshit and communication errors that break down what we're trying to say to other people that we're able to function even while that's happening. An example is when we were down in Keegan's zone, and I think Eric was up on Point with someone else, and me and Nick are in the back seeing these shitload of zombies getting up. I'm having blaster troubles, and I yell up to Eric, like, Eric, what's the fucking holdup? And Eric said something like, we gotta wait for this box or something to move out of the way. And I say something like, what? Fuck those boxes, step on that shit, dude, we gotta get moving. And Eric's like, what? You want me to step on them? I'm like, yes, bitch, step on them, we gotta go. And so Eric just stands up and stomps on the boxes and off we go. But there was a moment of, what do you mean, we can't do this, it's in the parameters. And I say to Eric, fuck your parameters, we gotta go. And Eric goes, oh yeah, we can fuck the parameters, let's go. And it's, that conversation I've seen take other teams 3 minutes to have, whereas Eric is just like, hey, we gotta do this. Eric's like, I don't think we can. I'm like, I don't think we can, but we gotta go. And Eric says, okay, let's do it, and we're on our way. And I think that ability,
yeah,
I don't know if you remember that, Eric, but that,
basically, yeah,
you see it in the footage, definitely.
I can actually offer a outsider perspective, being on Stars, is, especially as a zombie, I never go for you guys. I can't. You guys are always in groups, you're always communicating, you're always looking every single direction. It's like, I straight up have to go for the newbies. They're the easiest things to kill.
But Jake, I remember, like, that just reminds me of the time, I guess, when you ran with us as a Zed. You ran alongside us for that one mini game where we worked together. But, you know what? Actually, that leads in. There's a moral to that story, which is free-forming and improvising. You know, where, you're not going to have a perfect run, because what's the perfect run? The perfect run is the one that you have in your head and how you expect it's going to go. And of course, something's going to get cocked up. Somebody's going to their blaster's gonna jam, somebody's not gonna be able to put their mag in, something's gonna happen, somebody's gonna like trip or stumble or roll their ankle. Shit's gonna happen.
Exactly.
So it's not the ability to. It's Murphy's Law. It's not the ability to do it perfectly. But it's the ability to improvise.
Oh, it's fine. I was just basically gonna, to finish up my story, about efficiency during building clear, I was basically just gonna say how, or somebody said that they had something like a jammed blaster, which happens kind of frequently to people. Somebody instantly had them covered. It wasn't even a question, It wasn't even there was almost no panic. It was just I have to I am devoting my attention right now to getting my blaster unjammed. I'm letting my team know so they can cover my flank, basically. And then the team does that, come back in, and it worked so smoothly. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that really both ties together to what both Brooks and you, Natalie, were saying. Is Black and White is very good at the controlled chaos of combat. I know a lot of us, especially those of us who run with randos from time to time, have definitely seen the worst side of that. And I think, Trevor, out of anyone, you're the one on the team who runs with randos the most.
Yeah, I'm definitely the one who spends the most time running with randos traditionally, and a big part of that, I think, is because I am the one who's been playing HVZ the longest, and I'm one of the more recent members of Black and White. So I didn't have a team to go back to for a long time, so it was just randos. And to give you an idea of how that can go wrong, we had once a group, and I was just, wandering around on campus and doing escorts, and I think this was first day, actually. And I bumped into Joel, another of our team members, who was also doing the same thing. And we kind of got a group of people together, and we were heading, I guess it'd be north along campus. Joel and I, being sort of the more veteran members, were kind of on board with all right, when you go in and out of a building, you go quickly, you figure your shit out, you get it in and out of the bag, and you go. And that's one of the biggest things about going in and out of buildings is you don't hang out, because it gives a chance for people to get their stuff together. And there was one of the randos who was with us, who at every door he'd walk out the door, he'd stand on the wall where you're safe, according to our rules, if you're not familiar with that, would open up his bag, and he'd pull out I think it was a Retaliator, no, it was a Sledge Fire he was running, I remember that, because it wasn't even that good.
What?
Yeah, pull out a Sledge Fire, assemble the whole thing.
Did he lose a bet?
I don't know what his deal was, but every single door, and he had some other blaster that wasn't as large either. Every time he was going in and out of the building and taking 5 minutes. And I think that you were actually there as a zombie, Brooks, as I recall, because what happened was we made it to Miller Hall, and we were about to try and make a jump, and this guy's standing on the wall trying to assemble a blaster. And, we're saying,
oh my God, I remember this.
Yeah, no, don't deal with that. Don't worry about it. We've got enough people here. Because you had, what? I think the numbers were, I think you did have the advantage, but it wasn't the 3-1.
That I remember because, yeah, you had a big cluster of them, and you could probably pick enough of us off if you were sitting on a wall and you had made eye contact. That wouldn't have worked.
Because, it wasn't like we were walking into an ambush. We knew that you were there.
Right.
And, if it was a group of Black and White, and I'm, not even tooting Black and White's horn here, a group of Umbrella or a group of Stars, any group of people who knew at least vaguely what was going on, it wouldn't have been an issue. What was the thing is that we finally got off the wall, and by that time, tons of zombies had come, and when we got off the wall, there was one charge from the zombies, and someone ran, and then someone else ran, and everybody broke. A break is one of the worst things to deal with, because it's completely fluid. There's no way to predict what's going on, and basically the only way to deal with it is either be able to... You gotta pick right at the beginning. Either you're going to shoot everything that comes for you, or you're gonna outrun everything that comes for you. And if you pick wrong, you die. There's no two ways about it. And fortunately, I run pretty quickly, so I picked that, and Joel ran elsewhere. I thought that I had gotten him killed, but it was... So I guess that's sort of the negative version of what can happen with a squad. You know, if you don't have good communication, because there was no communication within that squad. I mean, there was people saying things, but there wasn't communication.
So the other part of that is cohesion, though.
Yeah, that's the other big thing, because there wasn't any cohesion either. Everyone was doing their own thing without any regard to anything that was going on around them, which is usually, I've found, the case when you run with just the random players who are out there, is everyone is sort of doing their own thing in the same area, as opposed to a squad, which is all doing one thing at the same time. That's what would sort of, I guess, be the defining factor for me between an effective squad and a group of dudes.
I'm going to take a moment and for the recording, for anyone who isn't recognizing a lot of the terms that we're using or isn't familiar with the rules here at Western, we cannot play inside buildings, so we have certain lengths of walls next to doors that are safe, and a few of the terms that we're using that people might not recognize are randos, and I think Trevor explained what breaking is pretty well, but a rando to us is any individual who we do not know their skill level. So a random freshman who walks up, or even a junior or a senior we've just never seen before. Anyone who we do not know their skill level is a rando.
90% of the players you don't know. And a lot of them are actually really quite good. There are some really good unaffiliated unknown players out there. There's also a lot of them who are really, really not. We always go over and over how frustrating it is to hold up the hand signal for stop, which, if you're not familiar with it, is just a sort of a raised fist. And just, to like come around a corner and see something, and you just like, okay, I've got squad behind me, so okay, stop. And some asshole just goes walking past you. And that's so frustrating to us. And I did actually, just as a funny little side note, I asked my mother, who was in her 60s, and she knew what that was, so there's really no excuse.
I got onto the team pretty recently, even though I've known these guys for a long time, just because I generally play as a zombie player. I get tagged on purpose pretty early in the game, and I try and beef up my kill count. So I generally have I take it upon myself to kind of assemble a squad of zombies and try and maximize kills with a group that works together well. The example that I'm going to use is this group in particular, because a lot of the zombies in the group, it's really hard to put together a zombie team more than it is a human team. Zombie tactics are a lot more free form, for one, and two, everybody has their own ideas that they think are the best, and admittedly, people have really good ideas. But if we're all working off different ideas of what should go down, or if we can't choose a leader, there's going to be problems. So when you have a bunch of randos who don't know what they're doing and actually might not want to be doing what they're doing, because zombie is often a consequence for a lot of players, they often see it as a downgrade, which might not necessarily be the case. But if you're trying, it's kind of like herding cats, and the only person I know who could do it truly well is Scotty Olin.
Scotty Olin. Damn.
Scotty Olin, the zombie general who no longer is a student at Western and doesn't play games anymore. He doesn't play HBZ. He's kind of a legend now. But he was, for the longest time, sort of the unofficial official zombie general. And I actually briefly studied under him, if you will, just before he left. And, he taught me, he told me about how he could kind of whip zombies into shape and say, kind of orchestrate them, and how he could get a bunch of random kids who might not even want to be there kind of into combat shape. Like he could be the kind of the R. Lee Ermey of the group out of nowhere and kind of, kind of uplifting movie them from sort of a ragtag motley crew into a functional killing machine in a matter of minutes, and he would kind of station people places, give them numbers, and then he would shout like, 3, go, okay, 2, go, and, they would kind of spring out like landmines and, would just rout humans. And I never have been able to do that with the same kind of precision and artistry and finesse that Scotty was able to do. And I think it's way harder just because zombies generally don't have that team cohesion, which is why Ian and I worked to form the Reapers, which is the first actually functional zombie team, which has only been actually existent altogether one time, but it went really well that one time.
I mean, if you don't mind me cutting in here, Brooks.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I think Scotty did the best was he took all these people who did think of becoming a zombie as a consequence to not playing the game well as a human, and he really turned it into one giant family. I mean, the biggest impression that I ever got from him as a zombie player back in the day was the end of the first mission I ever played in. Humans demolished us, as they always do the first mission. We did pretty well, but we didn't win, and it was only okay. But afterwards, he brought all the zombies together and basically took everyone that got tagged that day or during the mission and had, a standing ovation and welcomed all of them to the team and, had everyone that had gotten a tag raise their hand, and then he had everyone that had helped get a tag raise their hand. And he made it really clear that you weren't, as a zombie player, you weren't getting a tag for you were getting a tag for the entire team. And I think it was the atmosphere that Scotty brought to playing a zombie that really made zombies the most terrifying people on campus.
And zombies are a great example of the place where it's hardest to form a cohesive, dynamic, a family rather than a group, like a squad. And I think that Black and White, if we can kind of bring it back to the original kind of topic, what is extremely cohesive. Part of it being the fact that we spend so much time together, outside of game as well as in game. So, we get to know each other, we get to know each other's styles and our personalities, and we can kind of put ourselves in the other person's heads. And I think that that's huge, and what makes us such a functional team in game is because we know each other and we're a family more than we're just like a bunch of people who decided to work together, based on us being good or whatever.
Another good squad story, I guess, that comes to my mind, just because we've talked a lot about, kind of the frustration of working with random people, but I think there actually was a situation where we as a team worked with a group of random people as a team, and it actually worked out pretty well, which I believe was our, correct me if I'm wrong here, our second mini game, which was the bottles mission, collecting all the bottles.
Oh, yeah.
WW mini games, which, as said before, is human versus zombie, and of course, Black and White is red team because we're just always red team now apparently. And every time we do this, teams just get aside from Stars and Black and White being very permanently on red and blue team, everyone else that goes on the team is completely randomly selected. So we always get a completely different mesh-up of people working with us, which is both very interesting and very obviously nerve-wracking because you can't, just set up tactics and go with it. You've got to reset it up every time you go. And it's one of those things where you look over the crowd of people that are going to be with you, and of course the first thing that goes through your head is, this is going to fucking suck. And it was really interesting because even with that game, I think even we were surprised because everyone on the team was super receptive. Everyone was very quick to go ahead and act on anything said or anything, told, or people, talking between each other. And we wrecked that game pretty damn hard, if I say so myself. That was a really impressive mini game. Because in the bottle mission, going back to the bottle mission, we had to go collect a number of bottles that were spread around campus, and blue team, of course, is trying to get those bottles as well. Within the first, essentially, minute of the mission, we'd already set up a permanent defense, multiple scouting teams, and a raiding party to not only go comb campus, to go hit the other people's base, and to keep ours safe. And I was just, I think that's the one situation where we worked with a bunch of complete randos for 8 hours, or I guess maybe shorter than that, and it worked really well. And I think that actually restored my faith a lot in the rest of our humans versus zombies actually that day.
That actually sort of plays back into what Natalie was saying, or what Natalie and Dylan were saying a bit for the building clear, which is something that has sort of, I've heard it said multiple times before about other things than HVZ, but it's definitely applicable, is that it doesn't necessarily matter so much that you decide to do the right thing at a given time. It doesn't, it's not really the time for long debates and democracy. It's more a time for, okay, here's a thing that'll work. Yeah, let's do that. And then you do that with lots of force and really well.
So to expand on that, you actually just described something that I find myself in as one of the loud voices on our team. I find myself in that position a lot of times where you don't even have to think, hey, here's the right thing we can do. We got to do it. Sometimes it's, hey, none of this shit is working. Staying here is not working either. We need to do something. Here is a thing. It might work, it might not. Here's a thing, and we are going to do this. And I've got people to do that thing before in shitty situations, and it has several times resulted in the death of my own teammates. However, I think that I'm able to sleep at night about that because I know that had we not done a thing at that point and just stayed there, absolutely everybody would have died. So sometimes just a decision has to be made on a route of action, regardless of how good it might be, because usually staying still in HVZ is going to kill you faster than moving.
Yeah, the goal is to have a survivor. And I have a story that takes everything you guys said and goes the complete freaking opposite way. So I was thinking about fall 2012. I think you guys were actually there. You guys were playing zombies that round. So if you guys are familiar with the team, it's a team called Wolfpack. Now, this is a completely freshman team. Right off the bat, I'm just playing every now and then. I got a message from one of my old friends, Day 2. You may recognize him as the blaster kicker. But anyways, Day 2, he's like, hey, I got a team, Wolfpack. I need you. Like, all right, I'll be there. So, we get to our Friday or our halfway point to actually be able to vet a team. So it's like, okay, here, 5 o'clock. This is where we're meeting up. Everybody be on walkie. We'll start chattering. We'll figure out where to go. 5 o'clock rolls around. I'm chilling on Bond Hall. That's where we're supposed to meet. I'm there with, 3 other guys. We get a call over the walkie. Half of our team is still stuck on Old Main. We run over there, no problems. We're communicating on the walkie, which is something maybe we shouldn't do, especially if Black and White has walkies. All of a sudden, we start getting other calls on the walkies. Like, who are these guys? Turns out, here comes, who was there? Dylan was like running full sprint. I think Kyle was there too. So the entire team of Black and White shows up. My entire, I guess, quote unquote, wolf pack is jammed on the wall. We're surrounded. We only got 5 minutes left to get to it. There's absolutely zero communication. Everyone's in the doors. No one's communicating. Everyone's yelling, oh, let's do this. Let's do this. The team just does not work together. Why I don't work with randos that much anymore. Jumping the gun on a incomplete plan is not the best idea because literally everyone died except 2 people.
That was not a pretty
yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember
really
that. That was a
massacre.
massacre.
You guys.
Yeah,
I
got to take the walk of shame.
5 or 6 people died on that wall. That was impressive.
Didn't Jolly kill them?
And if I remember,
It was Jolly and the Batman got most of the kills.
Of course.
And if I remember correctly, 4 of them made it to the vetting, and they only made it like a third of the way through.
So now we endearingly call them.
They made it to the halfway point after losing 1 person, and the entire pack of zombies that had hit them before they started vetting had by this point regrouped at the halfway point, so they just gave up and stayed in safe zones for the rest of the day.
And now we endearingly call them the Wool Pack.
Never again. Never vet a freshman team that has no idea. Most importantly, know who you're going with.
Yeah, that's actually a big thing, both in a negative and a positive sense. Know the strengths and weaknesses of who you're running with.
That's kind of a segue into the second part, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know who they are, don't be a hero.
Yeah, Dylan.
Heroes overrated.
Hey, shut your fucking face, Eric.
It is.
We don't talk about that anymore.
I've died every time.
Did any of those girls that asked you to help them jump across buildings actually make it to their buildings, Dylan?
No.
You know,
Oh my God.
bravo for trying.
More importantly, Dylan, did you survive the escort yourself?
I don't think I can recall that knowledge at this time.
I think your survival rate is about 50%.
I think the survival rate's about 0.
Yeah, it is. When that comes into play.
Roll the dice,
funny
you
that
get a
that's-
7, you
So,
survive.
like, maybe I should just let people know. It's like, hey guys, hey ladies who play HVZ, if you put on like a lot of mascara and bat your eyelashes really hard with one guy, he'll help you get anywhere on campus.
But you'll die in the
you won't
process.
actually leave the building.
Hey,
but, you know.
we're up at Ames North,
if
and
they-
we
they
need to
won't
get
get
down to
anywhere.
Academic West.
They won't get anywhere if they don't tell me that a zombie is literally hiding up my ass. Neither of us are going to get anywhere.
I think that we've gone far enough into this story. At this point, you should just tell the rest of it.
So, it was a really lazy Monday in fall 2011.
Yep.
And I had nothing to do on that Monday. Absolutely nothing. I had morning classes and I went home. It was a really dead day to play anyway. And so I'm in my dorm with Eric and I say, Eric, I'm going to go for a walk because we're mods. We should be out and about even if we're not. Even if we have no reason to be out, you should be out there monitoring the game. So I said, okay, why don't I take a lazy lap around campus and I'll see what I can see. So I start heading north. Brooks jumps out a window. I say hi to him. And then once I get towards
Oh, yeah,
Red
that was
Square,
then.
Yeah, same day. Once I get towards Red Square, I come out the front of Miller, and there's like 6 zombies out there. I wasn't really going to go anywhere at that point. There were 6 zombies out there. A couple of them were mods, and I don't even remember what her name was, but she was trying to get...
Megan Malone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of those zombies, Dill.
Fuck me. She was trying to get Zomgo What the Fuck, which is an achievement for throwing a zombie at a dart. And then stunning them and having that.
Throwing a dart
Or
at
the
a
other way
zombie.
around, but you know.
Yeah, man, you gotta pick up a zombie, put a dart on the
that's
ground,
generally
and
considered a
suplex
strike,
that zombie. No, you gotta throw a dart at a zombie. And what do you have to stun them after that, or you just throw it and run away?
No, you
just have to survive. You can either stun them or make it safe.
Okay. I don't know what she was doing, but she was like, "This isn't working. I want to get across to Bond." It's like, okay, there's like 5 of them. I have an alpha. You have a I don't remember what she had. We could probably do this. And I said, can you watch my back while I try to push them back a little bit? And she goes, yes. And so I do what was not a 100% thorough, but 99% thorough check of my back. I look back, there's no one inside the doors behind me, through the glass doors. There's no zombie waiting for me to pop out. There's no one on the wall behind me. And so I go to take a step off the wall to take a shot, and I feel someone smack me on the backpack, which counts as a tag at Western. And I turn around, and Emily Morse was there. And I thought to myself, how the fuck did you get out the doors behind me without me hearing you or seeing you through the window? And it was literally like a second. And it turns out that she was crouched, like, behind my legs, below my backpack, so that if I had, like, done a squat, I would have sat on her. And this person that I was trying to help get to Bond didn't think to say, hey, there's a zombie hiding up your asshole, you probably shouldn't take a step off. Or, better yet, I should stun the zombie in your asshole so that it's not there anymore. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know why she didn't address me of that knowledge, but she didn't, and I died because she's stupid. And I don't usually do that anymore.
Moral of
Yeah,
the
it was
story
funny
is
shit.
don't be a hero.
Yep.
Or,
Don't
alternatively,
shoot girls,
the moral of the
girls.
story if you're a zombie is hide up someone's butthole.
Yes.
It worked
See,
on
Emily
Curtis,
Morris
although
was
I still
present.
have yet to get the residue out of my hair.
She's a really freaking good zombie, though.
Yeah, she is one of the best
Yeah.
zombies.
Morse,
Yeah.
Morse is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not
That
surprised.
fighting trick of hers is intense.
You know, Dylan, of all the
She
people to
had
get tagged
stealth.
by, be happy that it was her.
Yeah,
be
no
happy
doubt.
that it was
I
really
was
good.
very
You could have
happy it was
gotten
her.
killed by some rando and been like, oh man, I've never even seen you.
So we're coming up on 50-ish minutes here. I guess we'll just go around the room, starting to my right. We'll just go one. We'll do two if we have time. One piece of advice that you would give people who are wanting to be in effective squads with their friends or other players that they've met in HVZ. Jake, I know you're kind of on the spot, but take a second to think if you need, but we'll start with you.
I'd say if you could meet up before the game, definitely meet up. Go to an empty field. Just shoot around just a little bit. Get used to your blaster or gun, whatever season you're in right now. If you haven't used it before, get to know it. Figure out if it's going to jam on you, if it's going to, you need to get that solved. Just run a couple maneuvers. Run your hand signals. That fist, that probably means stop, and you should probably know what that means if you're hanging out with black and white. But yeah, I guess that's cardio. Cardio is another part of that. Gotta keep up on your cardio. If not, you're gonna fall behind, and we all know what happens if you fall behind.
Fuck Billy. Billy's dead.
Okay, so my advice has two different parts to it. My first advice is when you're with people that you don't work with frequently. My advice for when you work with people who you don't frequently work with is trust no one. In the end, they're not going to have your ass, so you get your own ass. You're on your own. Even though you're surrounded by people, you are on your own. On the other side of the coin, if you are with people that you work with a lot, example, black and white, trust everyone. If you are black and white and you are with black and white, trust everyone. A good example of this is we always announce our contacts. So we'll be walking in some sort of formation and somebody will say, I don't know, Z 9 o'clock. All the people who have their eyes on 3 do not whip around and check out the zombie on their 9 because they know that the people already there have it covered, so they keep on 3. So trust everyone or don't.
If I'm here to give advice, I suppose, on human tactics, I would definitely say, I would go back and talk about communicating. That goes back into what both of you said. Know what each other is talking about. Know what's going on. And inform others. Teams don't work if teams don't communicate. A team without communication is just a bunch of people near each other. So that's all it is. So it's really crucial just to let each other know what's going on, and that also builds a relationship between teammates, and it builds trust, and it builds cohesion. Communication is at the root of a lot of good play I've seen on both human and zombie sides. You can do a lot solo, but if you're with a bunch of other people going for the same objective, the least you can do is talk to them. The least you can do is communicate.
So the thing that I suggest mainly to people who are maybe looking to start a team with some friends, I said friends, but like friendship, or like really knowing the people that you're getting involved with this like team, because I feel like just knowing someone really well and knowing their tendencies and knowing how they work well or like their strengths is in a team, really just help for cohesion and efficiency and like knowing where somebody will strive and knowing where somebody won't thrive at all. Like, so I feel like the most successful teams at Western, at least right now, have that in troves. So, I feel like just really knowing the people on your team.
Well, Kyle said almost exactly word for word what I was going to say, and then Natalie, you said what my backup was going to be. So let's see here. I guess though that does sort of play to how important both of those things are, and I guess to play off it a bit more, know how far you can trust the people you're with, know how the people you're running with work, and I guess the next thing down in line is know what you're going to do when things go wrong, not if, when. because that's sort of the next biggest thing is if you know that the plan is, all right, if things go to shit, everyone scatter, go to the woods, fight as gorillas. And, for example, Ian's my buddy, then when things go wrong, all I have to do is find Ian and find a direction. As opposed to when things go wrong, I'm trying to, do I hang out with Dylan? No, that's going to get him killed. Do I sit down here and try and fight? No, because I'm shitty at that. So you gotta, if you can figure out your plan ahead of time, that's really helpful, I guess, is the upshot of this.
I'm gonna sound like a drill sergeant here, but if you're working with the team, you need to hold your team and yourself to a level higher than you currently have. It's one of the reasons I think Black and White is so good, especially when we are with each other. It's just because we expect to live up to each other's expectations, even though sometimes we don't. I know Dylan throws me in control of the squad a lot because I'm really shitty at it. But if he holds me to that expectations and the other members of Black and White are holding me to the expectation to be squad lead at that point, I need to hold myself to those expectations as well and act on it. And through doing so, not only will I become a better player, but my team will become better because they will know what to do when the squad lead that they're under might not know what to do in every situation.
My greatest piece of advice would be knowing when to run and knowing when to fight. Because we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but we haven't really gone into the dynamics of what that really means, I feel like. I mean, there's a difference between retreating and losing your shit. So, and all too often in HVZ, you just see people lose their shit, whether that's just going balls to the wall or running a bitch across campus, but, they got scared because they saw one zombie who might have looked in their general direction while they were hiding. I would say a really good example is, Brooks, you were here for this. This is another one of the minigame moments, and it was the one where Ashton was running it, and it was the final mission, and we had to go hold simultaneously 3 points, and you had to literally keep contact on them with a hand. And after you did, then you got the password to beat the end, and it was a total death trap that was made with absolutely no way for any team to ever win because we had the super zombies that could respawn other zombies, and even if they got stunned by the 2 special socks in the entire game, they came back in 10 seconds. Remember which one I'm talking about?
Yep.
And,
that was an unwinnable mission.
Yeah, it was literally an unwinnable mission. And as one of the last people standing, along with actually Nick on that one, if I remember. He had his AS-20s for that game. We were over at the far right point, and I remember you and a bunch of other zombies, Brooks, stacked up to just bum rush the entire position. And this was a very key point at which I could have chosen personally to run the fuck away, or I could choose to step up and fight. And in the end, I actually chose to step up and fight. And the reason why is because I very quickly was able to identify I not only have the high ground, but I had the more dominant position. And I guess, Dylan, if you can find the footage on this,
yep.
You can literally watch as I stand on a rock and I just tag people left, right, left, right, left, right as they're trying to run up and get me. And that's a great example of knowing when to fight and knowing when to run. This totally plays what everyone else is saying with know your weaknesses, know your benefits, because I mean, personally, I know, again, kind of like Kyle, I'm not very fast running. So if I have to run, I better have somewhere I can run to quick, but I'm a really good shot, like a really good shot. So if I can get myself into an advantageous position, then I can make the difference in a fight and pull through that way. And maybe then with the extra time, I can fall back to a point at which I can be safer. Know when to run and know when to fight makes a huge, big difference. And if you can figure out how to do that with a team, there you go. Another step for success right there.
My advice, even a couple people stole mine, but my advice would be two parts. The first part is to add on to, I think it was Trevor who was saying you got to have someone to go with to run away when you need to run away, is before you have a team going into a potentially shitty situation, which every situation is, you should have people paired up in a buddy system, like Trevor was talking about, and you should have rally points set. So if you watch some of our footage, you'll sometimes hear one of us say, hey, we're about to go into this area, rally point is this grass field. And then everyone gets a buddy under the buddy system, so they pick someone who they're going to bug out with in whatever direction they pick at that moment, if shit hits the fan. And then they do it, and everyone's on their own little buddies. Once shit hits the fan and we get scattered, everyone's on their own little buddies, and then everyone in those little groups will make their way back to the previously set rally point. Now, if the rally point's in a field, that doesn't mean go stand in the field and wait for your team. That's a stupid idea. Go hide in a bush near the field or somewhere else where you can then all quickly get back in a group and try it again or try something else. The second piece of advice that I have for people wanting to make a team, it might not be possible for people to do if you aren't friends with the people on your team, if you are in, if you're in different cities, if the game you play is taking part across multiple campuses, you might not be able to do this. But my piece of advice would be, do team shit together outside of the game. That doesn't mean strap on all your HVZ shit and run laps around a track with your team, which you could do. I'm not saying don't do that. But it's not limited to that. Our team, I think, is a good team because we eat together, we play video games together, some of us live together, we have classes together.
Podcast together.
We podcast together. I wouldn't ever substitute the opportunity for field training for any of these other things, but not everyone can go run in the woods with your entire team at one point. So do things outside of the game together, be it gaming, eating, living together, road trip, vacation, throwing rocks at police cars and running together giggling. Doesn't matter what it is, just as long as you do stuff together, it will reinforce the team dynamic that you have, and it will reinforce communication things. If you watch some of the footage, from my perspective or anyone else's, laser tag, for example, there's a moment where I come up behind Corey, and I don't push him, I don't say anything to him, I just put my hand on his back to let him know I'm there. Corey, without saying anything, acknowledges that I'm there, and then takes off, and I cover him. No words exchanged, no nothing. We just have the ability for him to know, okay, Dylan's here to cover me, I can move forward, and he ends up killing someone, because we've done stuff like that in the past, online, in person, and everywhere in between. So that's my piece of advice in a nutshell. Ian, I know you wanted to say something before we wrap up here.
As we're doing closing stuff, I just want to remind to anyone listening to this podcast or watching it or whatever the hell we're supposed to be calling it, the opinions expressed here are our own and don't represent the opinions of Western Washington University or the HVZ community as a whole. I'm not going to lie and say that all of us are nice people. I'm very much an asshole. But just because I'm an asshole doesn't mean Western's an asshole or everyone at Western playing HVZ is an asshole. Just keep that in mind when watching the podcast. Also, if you have anything you want us to talk about, any comments or questions, the easiest way to get in contact with us would be through our Tumblr, or sending a message to Dylan through his YouTube channel, which is where this will be posted. Thank you so much for listening.
Everybody say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.